Well, the next thing that I would like to tackle working on this 8-passenger Yellowstone coach undercarriage is the front axle that goes underneath this whole assembly that we've been working on the last video. It's kind of a can of worms, and it's seen its better days. So these are the hounds that come back to the sway bar and go forward to the tongue, and they are a tapered mortise tenon type of a joint through this front axle cap. And if you remember going back to the borax wagons, that front axle was made almost identical to this, except on a larger scale, of course. These are really rotted, and my speculation is that they probably broke. Why they have this heavy iron on top, which is an addition, would not have been there initially. These are supported underneath by a fairly heavy iron that comes up and is bolted underneath, and then come back under the axle and go back to the sway bar. This again also is very similar to the borax wagons. The front part of these hounds are completely missing, and so these side braces are actually going to help give us the length of what they need to be. This is a case where the iron is going to tell us what's missing. It has a cap on the end, very common to the Yellowstone coach, and as I sandblast this, you're going to be able to see it has the serial number stamped on top of this front axle hound cap. The right side dust cap is there, and there is the remnant of that circular block that it is bolted to. It's beat up pretty severely, but I think I can probably salvage this one. But the one on the left side, the block is gone, the leg bolt is still there, but this dust shield is pretty rotted. I think it's probably beyond being able to be fixed. So I'm probably going to have to figure out how I'm going to make a new one for this side. Neither side of the spindles on the axle have a boxing left. These nuts seem to be pretty seized up on both sides. I'm going to loosen those. So this is the case where I have one original boxing off of the left rear axle. Remember, that old hub was still there. I was able to get that off. Front axle, back axle should be the same taper on the spindles, so I'll be able to use this boxing to make the duplicate other three that are missing. So the goal today is to get this all disassembled. It's going to pretty much just fall apart once I get some of this iron support off, but this is what we have to start with. Well, I got a local that showed up that needs to run some stuff through the sandblaster. So this happens on occasion when you're small town America. So you're going to have some noise in the background. When I go through the process of editing, I'll try to minimize that as I continue to disassemble some of these frozen bolts that I've just put the torch on. So even bolts like this one are handy because it's going to tell me what the width of the outside of these hounds are going to be. And when I figure out the width of the hounds themselves, the difference is going to be the width of the tongue. It goes in between these two. So as bent up and rusted as this bolt is, it's going to help me find out some dimensions. So I think I have all my nuts loose to where the iron should start coming apart. But before I do that, I'm going to go through some measurements, and probably more for my sake than yours, because I'm going to be able to go back and look at this section of the video and say, this wood needs to be, for example, the back end of this hound needs to be 18.5 inches. See, this one is completely gone, so once I take this apart, that measurement's going to disappear. And this tongue iron is going to be just ahead of these braces here. So by another 2 inches, this is 1.5 inches. So straight ahead from the front of the axle cap to the end of the hounds themselves that are missing, I'm going to say they need to be 30 inches long. So the iron is going to give me these measurements because the wood is gone from here forward. So this sway bar is going to stay intact, so I'm going to have that measurement from the joint work. And I'm going to have the axle cap that's going to tell me the position of these mortises here as the hounds come through. So that's going to give me an angle as long as I know what this distance here is, which is 15.75 inches from the leading edge of the rear part of the axle cap to this joint right here. So again, that's the measurement. This is now going to document for me 15.75, whereas the overall length needs to be, well, I'd say it's probably closer to 19 inches. I think I said 18.5, should be 19. So the tongue is going to come back to this point here where it makes the transition. There's a point right here. Tongue's going to come there. Well, there's one bolt here that's going to give me the width of that tongue at that spot, which is going to be 3 inches. And then it does taper larger as it gets out here so that it's able to slide in. Well, the width of this bolt, the size of the axle hounds here, the length of this bolt here is going to help me to be able to put all this together. And I'm going to lay this all out on a piece of cardboard and get all these measurements correct. But this is going to give me a good rough start before I take all this apart. Then I lose all this. And you've probably noticed that I'm back to quiet in the background again. The sandblaster left, finished his project, so I'm back by myself. But this is an opportunity for me to address a number of requests that I receive via comments or through email about coming to visit. And you all know I don't mind you coming to visit. But the ones that I do decline on the requests are those that want to come and spend a day or 2 or 3 or a week and say, you know, I would just really like to sit and watch you work for a few days. And I want you to understand why that doesn't work for me. Just this little experience here, you can see what a distraction that becomes for what I'm doing. So do I stop what I'm doing until he's done? But I need to get things done as well. So I continued on this project while he was doing it. This is what happens when someone wants to come and spend a day or 2 or 3 or 4, is it is a constant distraction because there's going to be conversation that happens, and so I can't focus on the work that I'm doing for your benefit and my benefit to keep a continuity going in what is happening, because there's this constant distraction going on outside. So what I try to explain, and I'd like to clarify, when someone makes that type of request, what they are in essence doing, saying, I want your attention to be on me, and forget about the other 30, 40, 50,000 people that would like to watch. It becomes all about one person, and that's what I can't allow. I am doing this for the sake of everybody. I can't shut down everybody for the sake of just one. I am totally fine with people coming and, you know, spending a half hour or an hour, and you come and you go and you move on, and I can keep going. I have an open door, and you're welcome to come. I'm not trying to shut that down at all. What I'm trying to address is hoping that this deal today will help clarify how a long-term, you know, a day or numbers of hours or whatever becomes disruptive to thousands of other people. And that's what I can't permit. And so I hope you understand. So I think now I can just go ahead and start taking apart some of this iron, and it's basically just going to fall apart. So the chances of these bolts that go up through the fifth wheel, chances of them coming out are pretty slim. I may have to cut them off, so I want to get this measurement here. 4.5 right at the center, 4.5, and then we start to taper up, just so I have that kind of documented, because I may have to just cut these bolts out with a reciprocating saw. They usually won't come out. There's one that will. There's two. I'm gonna mess them up so bad, but it looks like I can save these two anyway. So that'll document the depth that we need right there. I'm gonna try to get these a little closer to the sawhorse. If they'll come, but I doubt it. There's one. How about that? The ends of the threads are going to be messed up, but I can fix that. So yeah, mushroom that up. Yeah, mushroom that is, I'm going to have to cut that off. Maybe I can just grind that mushroom off. Now, this has a little iron plate right here. And that won't go through the mortise. I don't think I can get that screw out. Well, the last thing is this leg bolt. I can get a hold of that. Can't get it. Maybe I can take the shield off. There we go. Well, when we get it all broken down, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot left there, is there? I still have the axle and the fifth wheel on the sawhorses. So I've got some sandblasting to do myself. I'll work on getting this cleaned up. Then we can start putting this back together. Appreciate you coming along. Thanks for watching.